Okay, so I know you asked me for a video. I am loving this microphone because I think you can still hear me and I'm talking very softly. So, welcome to my yoga class for skiing activities. And you want to find a place in your house that you kind of have room for movement. So if we stand in this hips width distance apart and bring our arms out, just make sure you can make a circle because we don't want to hit anything. We don't want to knock it over. We just want to be able to stretch. So when you're ready, you can have a mat if you have one. If not, using the floor is okay. You might need a towel for your knees, maybe some blocks, and a little towel just in case you can't reach certain things. The towel will act as a strap, or you can even use a tie if you have a tie. So when you're ready, meet me on my mat, on your mat. Okay, so let's get started. So, when we're doing our outdoor activities, the same thing applies with any kind of workouts or any kind of movement. You want to get some mobility going within your body, either before or after. It's your personal preference. It doesn't have to be before. It doesn't have to be after. It depends on your body. So see what works best. I like to do before and after activities to make sure I stretch and get limber during both. So we're going to start in a standing position. Feet or hips width distance apart. How do we tell that is apart? So you can just make sure that your feet are directly underneath your hips or 2 fists distance in between your feet. So come back to that standing position once we have our alignment. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky. Biceps are going to be right by your ears. Feeling your shoulders, just inhale. Exhale the breath. Inhale. Exhale the breath. Just taking a couple breaths here to feel your shoulders activate. Might feel a little bit of a warm or burning sensation. We're just allowing our arms to kind of warm up. Continuing your breaths here. And when you're ready, bring your arms back down to towards your sides, palms facing out towards the front of your room that you're facing. Stand here in Tadasana pose, taking a couple of nice breaths here and just finding some center, maybe some calmness, stability within your body. Letting any thoughts that you have, just be aware of them, place them to the side. We're not forgetting them. We're not clearing our minds. We're just saying, hey, okay, I hear that thought. Let's place it to the side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Great job. When ready, widen out the feet a gracious amount. We kind of want to be wide, pressing down through the toes and the outer edges of the feet. Micro bend in those knees so you find some buoyancy. We want to avoid pressing or locking out the knees just because this stretch isn't focused on the knees in this pose. So micro bend in the knees, press down through the feet and the outer edges of the feet. Inhale, look up, lengthen down through that tailbone. Exhale, hinge at the hips, keeping the knees bent, and just kind of come forward. As if this is where you're at with your hands on your legs, that's fine. If you feel the need to go deeper, you're welcome to come down deeper. Taking some inhalations and exhalations on your own time. Your breath is your own and it's unique to your body. Inhale. Exhale. Bending through the knees and hinging at those hips more, seeing how low can I go. If you want to find some movement, coming back and forth, side to side, little skater poses, that's fine. Again, feeling the stretch within the hips, not necessarily our hamstrings, which our hamstrings are in the back of the legs. So we're really looking for this stretch to be in our outer hips and maybe in our lower back area, possibly feeling it within our groin. Last breath. Come to center, find stillness. Inhale, hands on the knees or right above the thighs. Right above the knees. Look out and lengthen. Exhale, hinge at the hips, keeping the knees bent, fold forward. Now here's where maybe you want to grab your strap or your towel. We'll place it in our right hand. Inhale, arms behind you, and if you need to grab the towel, grab the towel. Exhale, hold here, bend in the knees, plant down through those feet. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, forward fold, allowing the arms to come up overhead for a shoulder stretch. Again, the focal point in this pose is that we are stretching the shoulders. So take the deepest bend in the knees that you need. As you can see, I'm graciously bending in my knees because that's what works for my body. Take a few more breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Plant the hands down on the ground if you can. If not, plant them on the shins or just above the knees. Inhale, look out and lengthen. Exhale, press back up to a standing pose and take some free movements here and just kind of wiggle it out. Maybe take some circles with your hips, going one direction. As SpongeBob says, bring it around town. Bring it around town. Go the other direction. Almost like we're a hula hoop practicing. Great job. Come back to center. And when ready, we're going to sit down for a couple of stretches. Again, just warming up our body for maybe some activities that we'll be doing outdoors, like skiing, snowboarding, tubing. Maybe you're snowmobiling. That's pretty cool if you have one of those. Feet can be facing either direction of the room. What matters is that we're sitting down on our sits bones, which is that hard bone underneath your buttocks or your glutes or your booty, whichever word you prefer. So if you need to, move the flesh a little bit from out from underneath your sits bones, and just make sure we're sitting on those nice little bones. From here, keeping a micro bend in the knees or a gracious bend in the knees. You can bend them this far if you need to for this next pose. Modifications are important to you and your body. Again, this stretch will be focusing on the hamstrings, which are in the back of our legs and our calves. So we don't want to overextend and maybe pull or tear something and cause injury. So in order to do that, I'm going to lengthen my legs down. My body's going to look different from yours, and that's okay. We all look different in our poses. It's not about what we look like, but it's like how we feel. How are we feeling in this pose? So again, inhale, biceps by the ears, arms come up. Bending in those knees for a nice little bend. Heels are down on the mat. You can flex the feet or you can point the toes, whichever one provides you a sensation, or you can leave them where they're just pointing up, just gently. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Come forward as much as you can. Again, we're not pulling. Hands can come to feet, shins, or the knees, depending on where your range is within your body. So, inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Come forward. Stomach might be touching the upper thighs. That's okay. Can you bring the hands down onto the feet? That's great. If you want to go deeper, you're welcome to look out and lengthen. A nice straight line down our back. Exhale, coming down forward. And if you want, dropping the head for a nice thoracic and neck stretch. Again, if this is too much for you, bring your feet back, bend your knees more, and hold the outside edges of your feet. Our goal is to be stretching underneath and our lower back and our hip area. So if you're feeling it, you're doing great. There's no reason to go deeper within the pose because we want to just sit here and allow our bodies to naturally open through holding it through a couple of breaths. So remember that breath. I'm going to go to a position that works better for my body. Inhale, lengthen down through that spine. Exhale, come forward deeper if you can. If not, stay where you're at and continue to breathe through this pose. Inhale and exhales, just gently going through the motions within our body, allowing whatever thoughts that might come up within these stretches to again just move gently to the side of our brains, focusing back on your inhales and your exhales. Your breath is what breathes life. Inhale, last one. Exhale, go deeper if you can. Feeling the stretch within the groin, your hips, your lower back, and possibly your hammies underneath the knees. Great job. When you're ready, come out of it. Sit back up, Dandasana pose. Shake the legs out, wiggle them gently. That feels nice. Right foot comes in towards the groin or the left side thigh, whichever is more accessible to you. Inhale, arms come up overhead. And again, micro bend in that left knee. We're going to feel a stretch in our lower back and our left side hip. Exhale, coming forward. Hands can be down on the ground, maybe some blocks. Or if you want, if it's accessible to you, let's grab our foot. Keeping that bend in the knee. Inhale, lift up, long spine, nice straight spine. Exhale, hinging at the hips, allowing the stomach to come closer, because the goal again is we want to feel this stretch within our hips and our back area, and maybe underneath in our hamstrings. Inhale, exhale deeper. Inhale, exhale. Great job. Taking a couple more breaths here at your own pace. Discovering how you feel within your body within these moments. Inhale, come back to center. Wiggle the legs out. And switch it up. Left leg comes in towards the groin. Left foot on the right inner thigh, or left foot just where you can place it to where it's bent. So if it's not touching, that's okay. Again, modifications for what your body is. We're going to make sure that the sits bones are still on the floor, micro bend in that right knee. Again, watching for a pulling or a tearing sensation. We don't want to do this. We want to avoid that pulling or tearing or forcing. These stretches are meant for us to just gently relax in these poses as we breathe deeper within our bodies. So when you're ready, inhale, biceps towards the ear, micro bend in that right knee. Exhale, hinge at the hips. And if this is where you're at, that's fine. Hold it here. Maybe hands come down. Inhale, look out and lengthen for that long spine feeling, a nice straight L down the back, right? Exhale, hinge at the hips and come deeper into the pose if you can. And this is just a modification. So inhale, exhale, I'm going to go into a deeper version of the pose that fits best with my body. Taking a few more breaths here. Again, we should be feeling the stretch within our lower back, maybe underneath in our hammies or our hips. Last couple of breaths here. Great job. Come back up to seated. Wiggle out the legs. And when you're ready, come back onto the sits bones. Keep your legs where they are. Bend the right knee. Plant the right foot. We're going to take the right foot and cross it over our left knee to the other side. Right foot is planted, so just where's comfortable for you. If you find that sitting like this is hard and you have kind of like a lean going, that's okay. What we're going to do is either put a pillow or a block. A pillow might be nicer if there's a smaller gap underneath to kind of sit back down and even yourself out for this next pose. All right, when we're ready, right foot is planted over the left knee. Micro bend in that left knee for the left knee, that leg, excuse me. Inhale, left arm up towards the sky. Right hand comes beside you near your hip or on a block or behind you. Exhale, gently twist your chest through your chest. Again, working to twist through the chest towards the right side of the room. If this is the best that you can do, that's great. It's that feeling sensation of the twist within your upper spine. If you can, go deeper. Left elbow comes to right knee for a little bit of a pull. And we'll stay here within this twist for a couple of breaths, finding that natural rhythm of your breath within your body. Last one. Great job. Bring the chest back to the front-facing side of your room, and then bring our bodies over to the left side to kind of maybe twist it out and counter it just gently. Bring the legs back to forward, wiggle it out, and let's switch sides. Bend the left foot. Bend the left knee, left foot planted. Bring the left foot over the right knee, keeping your right heel down in a micro bend in that right knee for a twist on the left side. Inhale, right arm reaches towards the sky. Again, your left hand can be near your left hip or behind you, depending on where your body is at in this pose. Right arm comes up. Exhale, twist towards the left side of the room. And if accessible to you, bring the right elbow onto the left knee, maybe for a little kickstand. Taking a couple of breaths within this pose. Last one. Great job. Bring the chest back to center. Come over towards the right side to do a nice little counter twist. Push back up through the hands. Legs come long. Shake it out. Seems to be a fun rhythm in this class, right? Bring the soles of the feet together. If they're like this, that's great. So if we're sitting and our feet don't touch, that's quite all right. If they do touch and you can bring them in close, that's great. If you want them farther out, that's great. Sometimes putting pillows or blocks underneath your thighs or knees might help you in this seated Baddha Konasana pose, or as we like to call it, butterfly. Bringing the soles of the feet together, just sitting here gently in this pose for a few breaths. Last one. Great job, guys. So from here, keeping the pose of where we're at, if this is the best that you can do, stay here and maybe have the feeling of hinging forward through our hips. So we're going to bend at the hips. We're going to leave our back so it's a nice straight line, as if someone is taking a string and going, if I was here, pulling me up. Again, if we're slouched, a little string pulling you up from the crown of your head. Lengthen through that spine. Great job. So now we're going to hinge at our hips. And if you can only come forward gently, that's great. Feeling the stretch within the outer and inner hips and your groin area. That's where we're focusing. If you'd like, you're welcome to take your 2 peace fingers and wrap them around your toes for maybe a little bit of leverage. Again, this choice is yours. You don't have to. If you want to just grab onto your knees and have a nice little pull, pulling your legs in towards you, lengthening through the spine and hinging at the hips. It's that feeling. Even if we feel like we're not moving, it's the feeling and the action of allowing our bodies to gently release in poses that we're putting them in. So, inhale. And on our exhales, we'll passively maybe allow our bodies to come deeper in the pose. What does that mean, Lindsay? It means we're not pulling or tugging. We want to just allow ourselves to rise up in our inhales, and on our exhales, pushing that air out, allowing ourselves to bend deeper at the hips for a deeper stretch. Allowing gravity to take its pull. Take a few more breaths in this seated forward Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. Last one here. Come to seated. Lengthen the legs out in a nice little triangle in front of us and maybe wiggle it out. Some free movements. Just going, that nice release, right? So if you have a block in your home or maybe a thick book will work, or even a pillow if we roll that pillow over. We're just going to do 2 more side stretches on each side and then we're done. So take your block or your book or your pillow. You can place it on the tall side. You can place it on the middle side. This is what works best for me. But for some people that might not find mobility within their bodies for this pose, a higher placement of a book or pillow would be best. So, inhale, left arm reaches towards the sky. Exhale, gently, again, with this motion of keeping a straight spine, we're going to hinge at the hips towards our left side body. And if this is where you're at, elbow comes to block. You can stay here if we're feeling it within our right side for a nice stretch along the back body and again our hips. For those of you that may be able to go deeper, that's fine. Bring your left elbow either on the floor or a block, and if you can, peace finger grip the left big toe. Inhale, right arm reaches up towards the sky, look up towards the sky, lengthening down through the tailbone. So again, keeping this notion of that flat back or that straight line of your back. Right arm reaches up over and breathe in this pose, allowing the chest to come up towards the sky, toes coming up towards the sky. They don't need to be active. They can be flexed if you want, or they can just be pointing up, feeling the stretch within the right side hip and the right side back. Couple more breaths here. Last one. Great job. Come up back to center. Take a moment. Maybe wiggle it out, some free movement. And for our last pose of the day, we'll move to the right side. Move your block or book, if you were using that, and place it to the setting that's best for you on the right side, near your right leg and your right knee. Inhale, left arm reaches up towards the sky. Inhale, right arm reaches up towards the sky. Exhale. And if you're here, you can bend the elbow and place the hand behind your head. And this is where you're at, facing the chest up towards the sky. Left arm reaches up and we feel that. Ooh, I can feel it. You feel that stretch within the left side. For those of you that can go deeper in this pose, that's great. You'll follow me. We're going to hinge at the hips towards the right side body, allowing that elbow either to come down towards the floor, towards a block, or even on your leg, just not on top of your knee. Inhale, left arm reaches up towards the sky, look up, chest is open up towards the sky as well, and stay here. Take some natural breaths. Feeling the stretch again within that left side, lower back, lower hip area. That's a good one. Last one. Come back to center. Bring the feet and knees in towards this chest. Wrap your arms around the outside of your legs and knees if you can, and bring your head down. Just gently let it hang. Giving yourself a hug. Telling yourself thank you for just doing these little stretches. Doing these stretches before your outdoor activities like skiing can really help improve your mobility within your activities. Taking a couple more breaths here. Coming up to a seated pose. Thanks for joining me in this little quick stretches to help you maybe find more accessibility within activities of everyday life, skiing, or even if you are standing at all times or even sitting. So yeah, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, reach out to me and let me know. Thanks, guys.